Hello.
Oh, hello.
How are you?
Hello.
Hi, Lee, how are you?
Good, thanks. Yeah.
So my name is Tova James, and this is Fool's Quest.
Cool.
Cool. What's that?
Sure.
Sure. Agreeable. Good. So we're going to go on a 12-part adventure.
Okay.
And while we're doing this adventure, you're going to be drawing something for me, I hope.
Okay, sure. Yep.
It's very handy. You're all set up already.
Ready to roll.
That's perfect. Before we begin, did you want to do a quick intro to yourself? And I'm sorry, I should have warned you about this earlier.
No, that's okay. Yeah, my name's Toby. I'm a cartoonist and an illustrator and a comic artist and various other overlapping things. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So the series is called Fool's Quest, and everyone is drawing a version of the Fool from a deck of tarot cards. You can tell I haven't rehearsed this at all.
No, that's okay.
So this, for example, is the classic Fool from the Rider-Waite deck.
Okay.
You can see they've got a little animal companion. They're about to walk off a cliff, which is quite foolish.
Okay, yep.
But they're quite cheerful. Otherwise, they're going on an adventure.
Okay.
And they've got the number 0 up there because that's the number they are in the tarot deck.
Okay.
Yeah. So, did you have any ideas? I had an idea, but I was wondering if you had any ideas.
No, I'm open to hearing. I haven't not really drawn. I guess I've drawn fools before, but not a tarot fool before. Yeah.
Yeah. So my thought was, I know you love drawing horses. So I thought, no,
I've set myself up with that one so bad.
Yeah, I know. But I thought, no, that's too predictable.
Okay.
So I thought, well, the word fool is related to the word ass.
Okay.
Or can be another variant of it.
Yep.
So I thought, well, what about an ass?
Okay.
Donkey.
Yep.
Is also a fool, which seems sequential.
Sure. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I can picture that.
Yeah.
Like a anthropomorphized sort of humanoid.
Oh, however you feel like
walking off the cliff, or yep.
However you feel like doing that, or you could just choose something else. It's up to you. I'm not going to.
No, I like that challenge. That's good. Okay, I can come up with something there.
So it's different from a horse. It's not a horse. It's a donkey. It's very different.
Yep. Furrier nose.
What?
Furrier nose, thicker nose, big teeth. I get floppy ears. I'll give it a go. I'll see what happens.
So basically, it'll take 12 parts for the adventure.
Okay.
And then the drawing will be, finished. So you've got a timeline to work towards for the run.
Okay, sure. Yep. I'll get started.
Cool. So part 1. You're in a magical bookshop. The kind that is in films that might have a magical bookshop in them. And you understand that this bookshop has the book of your dreams in it.
Okay, yeah.
So in my case, it's Tintin. Like, I literally dream quite regularly about finding an undiscovered Tintin book.
Right, okay, yeah.
So you understand that this bookshop has the book of your dreams. It could be a book by a writer who's passed away or a book that isn't published yet. What would be the book of your dreams?
Oh, my mind goes straight to Tintin as well, actually. Funny you say that. Like you always see the sort of people do the fan art of the like Tintin in New Zealand or Tintin in England. So maybe that's the thing that springs to mind. Like I would be nervous about the vintage reaction to doing a like Māori culture and stuff, given some of the historical things. But let's say it's an accurate and cool, like very well done, late Tintin journey in New Zealand where he meets Māori characters and has all sorts of adventures around New Zealand.
Oh, I feel like I gave that one to you, but I know that Hergé, he did develop a bit more woke, I guess, later in life.
Yeah.
Not that he knew what the word woke was, but
but he had that. By all accounts, there's that story about him meeting. Is it when he does Blue Lotus and he meets some sort of Chinese cultural organisation gets in touch with him and says like, hey, if you're going to do a Chinese thing, please do some research because you obviously didn't on your previous ones. And he meets that guy Cheng, who later is referenced in the Tintin in Tibet, that he's lost Cheng, which is some sort of symbolic that he's moved away from a time that he felt like he'd learned something or he'd had some sort of connection.
Cool. So, what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Part 2. Storekeeper warns you that strange things can happen in the bookstore. For example, you might get stuck in a time loop where time passes very slowly within it, but in the outside world it passes very fast. So you can do a lot of things in that time loop without time passing in the outside world. If you were to get stuck in one of these time loops, how would you spend that time?
Oh, I don't know actually. Maybe I'm going to say swimming. Like if I
swimming.
could swim sort of infinitely, that you don't get cold and you don't have to come in. Like the moment that you've just dived into the water and it all feels great, and you can loop that very short period of time for a long period of time. Because usually, like I love it, but you can only do it for it's a few minutes before you're too cold and you're out of there. Can I say that? Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. If you were going to say cartooning, I would have said sorry. You'd have to. No, you went with
I already do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I know it would be a dream of many creative people to have infinite time to work on some project or another. So.
This is true. Yes. Yep. That's true.
Yep. So you begin to get lost in the store. It's a bit like a labyrinth.
Okay.
It becomes a bit like a labyrinth.
Yep.
Different people hide things in labyrinths. For example, the Greeks might put minotaurs in labyrinths and that kind of thing. And Jareth, the Goblin King, hides small children. Sorry, this is a random question. There's going to be a lot of random questions.
I like it.
apologize.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
So if you built a labyrinth, what would you hide in it?
Snacks. Snacks. I feel like labyrinthing would be very tiring. And to keep up your energy and to keep an element of surprise, like I would love it if you sort of come around the corner and there's a little bowl of chips, or there's some hummus and crackers, or there's some mixed nuts or something. I don't know. There's little like plinths with snacks on them.
I like this idea. Like, when you're building a labyrinth, you're not normally thinking of making it hospitable and friendly and like.
It's true. Maybe I'm on a different buzz than most labyrinth creators. Yeah.
That'd be cool. So wandering through the bookstore, you encounter a mariner, so a sailor.
Sure. Yep.
He sold a book to the store a while ago, but it had his favourite bookmark inside it.
Okay.
And now he's flicking through the books, trying to find the same bookmark that he's lost.
Yep.
So he asks you, what is something you have lost that you would do anything to get back?
There's a CD once that's taken on, as I'm sure, taken on a much more symbolic sort of weight than it necessarily needed to do. But I was on holiday in Christchurch and I had been looking for this album for a long time. It was called Yank Crime by the band Drove Like Jehu, and I found it on CD in a shop, and I was so excited to find it. And it was just, I was having a great day. Like, it was just one of those days that you're just like, oh, this is awesome, everything's turning out great. And so I hit the CD, I was pottering around, it was on holiday, went to a cafe, went and looked at the comic shop, went to the art gallery, or whatever the things you do when you're on holiday, and then got back to my hotel room at the end of the day, and CD was gone. So now every time I go to Christchurch, I always think, like, I just have this totally logical thought, thinking like, well, at least I might find that. I'll keep my eye out. I'll probably like spot the CD like on a park bench or something. So I'm going to say the Yank Crime CD.
I remember once I found a $100 note next to the Basin Reserve in Wellington.
Wow,
and
that's good.
Every time I passed that exact spot, I look just in case, even though it makes no sense that a $100 note would be there.
It would be there again, yeah.
I spent it on Transformers.
Perfect. That sounds great.
Part 5. The mariner seems obsessed with finding his lost bookmark and seems unable to stop looking until he's found it. What's something that obsesses you or you have been obsessed with?
I do tend to get, like, once I'm on a sort of a mission, it's hard to drop that idea, like if you get something. One thing that I'm always on the search for, that I feel like I have been slightly obsessed with, is I once at a car boot sale kind of secondhand market. I bought like a wooden monkey mask, and it had a little hinged jaw. I think it was maybe like Sri Lankan or from Bangladesh or something. And it was like a mask that I later learned. Like someone said to me like, "Oh, that'll be for such and such a performance. Like there's some like traditional play or something that would be performed with those masks." And it was so cool. And there were two of them. There was like a male one and a female one. And when I bought it, I just grabbed one of them, and because I thought it was cool. And the person selling it was like, "Are you sure you don't want the partner one as well? Like there are two of them." I was like, "No, I only need one," and so I only got the one. So now I've always been like, every time I go to a secondhand sale or a op shop or a car boot sale or whatever, I'm always on the lookout for like another wooden monkey mask. That's my obsession.
Oh, I like it. I'm going to have to get a photo of the monkey mask to insert in footage at this point.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore.
Oh,
I actually gave it to a friend of mine. We had a party, and he sort of became he sort of started wearing it, and he just sort of embodied the character of the monkey, and he was jumping around, and he just was so like became the monkey in the party that I just had to be like, "This is, you take it, man. You have become the monkey."
But you're still looking for the partner of it?
Yeah, or another one. It was just so cool. I wish I hadn't given it away, and I don't know that he lives in a different city now, so I don't know I don't even know if he ever kept it. Be interested to know.
You and your mariner companion
Yes.
continue into the bookstore, and this time you encounter a scientist.
Okay.
She's doing an experiment on Western fiction because it's a kind of a dead genre. Mm-hmm. And she thinks she can bring the genre back to life by splicing different Western books together.
Okay.
She asks you if you could revive anything at all, whether it's a person or a TV show or a clothing brand or anything, what would it be?
Reviving something. I have thought for years that the Krypton Factor should come back to TV. I loved it as a kid, like the mix of the kind of the puzzles and then the confidence course at the end, and there's like a memory round or something where they'd like played a video and you had to remember stuff. I just always thought it was so fun and such a cool. That was one of my favourite shows when I was a kid. So I'm going to say, bring back Krypton Factor.
I remember this one puzzle they had where they couldn't see the blocks, but they had to construct a puzzle without seeing it.
Yeah, they were kind of three-dimensional with sort of foamy kind of cubes. Yeah.
And I was like, how do you even solve that? I've always wanted to try and solve that. So they should bring it back.
Yeah. I always thought it looked like such a fun thing to have a go at.
We're about halfway there.
Okay, yep. I better hurry up on my drawing, yep.
So part 7. The scientist successfully splices some Western books together, and the result is the opposite of an AI-generated book.
Okay.
So an AI book resembles a book, but it has no soul, whereas the scientist's book has a soul, but it's kind of a mess.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yep, I can see what you mean.
How do you suppose creators might adapt to this new world of AI content, given that AI seems to be happening anyway?
Yeah, that's a good question, and something that I have been thinking about a lot. I think probably like lots of creatives. I think that, to me, the thing that I've been thinking about is that I feel like the most common kind of misconceptions maybe about making creative work is I feel like people miss the difference between kind of conceiving work and executing work, like the idea of it and then the doing of it. That people, in the short term, I think people get a bit blinded by the doing of the work, like someone that can play a really fast guitar solo or can do really realistic, photorealistic picture or something. That's like the doing it skill. If you can do that well, people go, wow, this person's so good, look at that. But in the long term, the stuff that endures is the stuff that does the first bit well, the conceiving of it or the actual, coming up with an original idea, which is what AI at the moment can do the second bit, like it can do the executing bit, but it's still a long, long, long way away from having anything to say or anything original to contribute, which is never, I don't think it'll ever really be able to do, and apart from accidentally perhaps at some stage. So in that way, I don't personally feel super threatened by it. I think, it might, I can see if you were doing certain types of illustration, if you're a film concept artist or something, it can just produce a volume of work that would be very sort of disruptive and threatening to you. But I don't, the sort of, its inability to actually come up with anything original is what sort of doesn't freak me out about it. It makes me think that there will always be a need for people that can do that, I hope anyway. I hope there's always I hope there's always a role for human perspectives and ideas and feelings and emotions. Does that answer the question?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. For me, it's, I'm not the one being interviewed.
Yeah.
I watched The People's Joker a couple of nights ago.
Oh, yeah. I'm interested to hear what you thought of that. Was it good?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it was good, but that's not the point.
Yes, yeah.
It was very, very human.
Yes.
And AI could not create that film. It would make a better film.
Yes.
But with no soul, whereas this was just so much humanity into it while being a complete mess.
Yes.
And I feel like I'm embracing mess more and more as like an art form.
Yeah.
And less of the picture perfect Marvel films where an AI might make one of them eventually, but
yes,
it's a product.
You've seen it before. It's a regurgitation of previous
things.
Yeah. I've always been more drawn to stuff like the comics that I like and the books that I read. I would much prefer to see something I haven't seen before and just something that's unusual, even if that's very idiosyncratic and kind of naive or crude, or the execution part of it I'm less interested in. If it's something that just makes me go, I've never seen this before, what the hell is this? It's a feeling that I'm chasing much more than wow, this person's very accurate at doing the skills,
Yeah. Where am I up to? Oh yeah, part 8. You, the mariner, and the scientist are traveling together, and you encounter a 19th century socialite.
Okay.
She's surrounded by all these books full of knowledge, but instead of reading them, she's looking at her phone and going down rabbit holes. She thinks she can figure out through social media what's going on in the world. What do you think is really going on in the world?
That's a good question and a sort of puzzle for our age, isn't it? And I think you're right that it's not, the social media is only ever going to give you a side of it or a piece of it. It can be so misleading in terms of feeling like this is what everybody thinks, or this is what everybody's saying, when you realise, you kind of zoom out a bit and go, is this just my little corner of the internet or my corner of the world? I don't know. In terms of what's going on in the world, I feel a bit disheartened at the moment, possibly, or a bit bleak. I think there's lots of, scary stuff going on, and lots of, I think politically we're in a sort of a phase of sort of regression, or a phase of, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Hopefully not 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. But at the same time, I'm always trying to be a hopeful person and see that there's things to be positive about and things to be hopeful about in the world. I think it's living in a time of pretty crazy change. Does that?
Oh yeah.
If that answers the question or not. I try to remember to not get all my sort of sense of what's happening in the world from the phone screen.
This question is going to be kind of similar.
Yeah.
I didn't write this too well. You think that the socialite is a little too far removed from reality,
Yeah.
but it is increasingly difficult to distinguish truth from fiction.
Yeah.
How do you navigate this world? How do you determine fact from fiction, and how do you anchor yourself?
Yeah. That's a good question, and it's just, I think, I don't know, sometimes a weird little like reality check for me is sometimes like I live just down the road from the St. Luke's Mall, and there's a food court there that's always heaving with people, and sometimes if I'm passing through there, but even when I'm not, it's just for some reason that's the place in my mind that seems like the collection of random humanity that's just like people. People are there, but sometimes I'm at the St. Luke's Mall and I look around the food court and think like this thing that I'm all worked up about that's on Twitter today is a big, this person is the big villain of the day, or this is the big scandal that everyone's happening. And look around and think like, how many of these people are also worried about this thing? And it's often you look around and you think, probably not that many. Like probably people are like just thinking about the groceries and thinking about picking their kids from school and thinking about what happened yesterday at work, and like people are mostly just trying to get by and doing their thing and living their life. That I think that's the biggest, the easiest trap to fall into, I think, with confusing sort of what's happening online with what's happening in the real world, is what's happening online is always going to point towards some sort of sensational thing that I feel like it underestimates the mundane as the scale of how much is mundane in day-to-day life, which is actually pretty massive. And most of the time it can feel so divided. Like this year I've been doing this thing, People Watching, and a big part of the inspiration for doing that project is feeling like spend too much time online and feeling like, oh, we're all at each other's throats and everything's awkward and there's too many touchy subjects and everyone's like misinformation and all the crap with, vaccines and Gaza, and like there's lots of touchy subjects and things that feel like, oh, everything's falling apart. But I think when you talk to people are mostly sort of in the same boat and kind of just doing their thing, and we're not as different or as separate as the internet can make you feel sometimes. I feel like is a thing that I try to remind myself recently.
I remember you did one of construction workers.
Yeah.
And before I read that strip, I thought I would pass people and I thought, oh, they're construction workers.
Yeah.
And after I read the strip, I thought, these are people. It shifted my perspective. I was like, oh, they're people.
That's Theo. That's whoever. They're. It's so obvious, but it's a good reminder sometimes that everyone's just doing their thing.
Cool. Part 10.
Yes.
You and your 3 companions encounter Irene Beautray, who is the Hierophant in the tarot deck.
Okay.
And that's the summary is a leader who gives people access to the sacred.
Okay.
In this case, the sacred knowledge. I'm going to start again.
Yeah.
In this case, the sacred is the knowledge of living on through your creations. What do you think is the secret of living on in this way?
Living on through your creation. I mean, I think that's part of the appeal of making stuff is to, in a totally sort of vain way, is making something that is like bigger than yourself or outside yourself. Like sort of adding something to the world, which is feels sort of futile, and the world is so big and wide and open. But that's all you can kind of hope for, I think, is feeling like you're adding something new and hopefully improving things, not making the world worse by your additions. I think that's all creative projects are about, kind of making something new. Does that answer the question?
I think it was, what is the secret of
Oh, yes.
So that's the desire to
Yes.
live on. But what
Yeah.
would you do? Do you think there's a secret, or is it
Oh,
we're making it up as we go along?
I think you just have to do it. Like a story that I tell sometimes to kids when I go and visit kids at school is a friend when I was at high school who was also making comics. We were sort of getting into making comics at the same time, and he was an amazing drawer, like super. Technically a much better drawer than me, and just could do stuff that I would love to be able to draw like that, but was also like a super perfectionist. And he basically drew the first page of his comic and looked at it and said it's not good enough, and screwed it up and threw it in the bin, and just drew that same first page over and over again for months. And I was like, dude, I'm up to I finished my comic and you're still not happy with page one. And I often tell that story to kids as an example of especially when you start out doing creative stuff, sometimes there is that sort of gap where you know that you're not that good at it, but because it does take time, like anything you do, it does take time to get it. But I think you have to me the secret is just to keep making stuff, just to make it and then make it again tomorrow and make it again tomorrow, and not overthink it too much that you make it impossible to put something out. I think you just have to kind of, there's a part of it is bravery and part of it is stupidity. It's the full walking off the cliff that you just have to kind of go for it and be like, that is what it is, here's what I came up with. And if it's a bit imperfect, then maybe the next one will you're learning as you go rather than not making it because it's not perfect.
Yeah, like for this video, I'm going to keep remaking my mask and redesigning my shirt until I get it right. But this is it's not going to be perfect, and I'm going to screw up my lines, but I'm going to keep going. So yeah. Part 11. Irene Beautray explains that your three companions are actually books who have been transformed into people, which is not like the author or the characters in the book, but the concept
itself.
The book itself
manifested as a character. Okay.
So who do you think the mariner, the obsessed mariner?
Yes.
The scientist reviving Ted.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
The socialite might be.
Okay, I'm going to say the mariner is the Love and Rockets series. The obsessive kind of revisiting and re-evaluating and sort of going over these same characters just for the amazing length of time. I absolutely love that project. It's one of my all-time favourites, especially the Jaime Hernandez, the Locust stuff, the Maggie stories, and the that sort of the obsession in that work. I absolutely love. So I'm going to say that's the Does it have to be one particular book?
Oh, no. This wasn't actually the question. I was saying if you could guess. Sorry, I'll get to the question. Maybe we won't go off that tangent.
I'm jumping the gun.
Yeah, no, there's another question that's more the actual question. I was just wondering if you'd guess.
Right, okay.
So
No.
That was actually Moby Dick.
Okay. Yes, that makes sense. Yep.
The scientist was Frankenstein.
Yes. Oh, yeah, okay.
Bringing,
the experimentation and the bringing things to life.
And the socialite was Northanger Abbey. Which is, I think, a lesser-known novel, but it's my favourite, Jane Austen.
Yeah, I think I studied that at university. That's bringing back memories.
So if you could meet any book in the form of a person, what book would that be?
I think lots of the books that I love might be quite scary people, or quite intense people, off the top of my head. I feel like sometimes I have. Sometimes you do meet authors and you're like, you are the sort of personification of this book. That's always an interesting experience. Yeah, maybe I'll say Love and Rockets. I mean, it's not our book. It's like a series of books, but say one of the mid period Love and Rockets books. I love the one, The Death of Speedy. I'm going to say I read that as a person. It's kind of fun and slightly dangerous, but quite sort of thoughtful and smart as well. youthful. That book feels very youthful to me. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have to look that one up because I'm not actually familiar with it. And one more question, part 12.
Yes.
I see you've basically finished.
Just about, yeah, just sort of
it's
little
good.
finishing touches.
Part 12. Irene warns that the opposite thing. This is a magical bookstore.
Yes,
the
that's right.
opposite
Yep.
thing could happen to you. You could turn into a book.
Yes.
The only way to not turn into a book is radical self-awareness and to know what kind of book you'd turn into so you can prevent it. If you know what kind of book it is you'd be, you can prevent that from happening. So
Okay.
if you were to turn into a book, what kind of book would that be?
I'm going to say... probably too long. The book would be a bit too long. The book would be a bit too dry in some places, maybe. Get a bit too lost in the weeds on some sort of digressions. Would probably be quite serious, like too serious than I would like it to be. I wish it would be a bit more fun. The book, maybe. Is that radical self?
Oh yeah, I mean if that's you, well, it's your radical self-awareness. I can't tell you if it's right or wrong. Yeah, so that's the end. Thank you.
Cool.
That
That was fun.
Yeah, didn't quite take an hour, so.
Yeah, nice. No, thank you very much for doing that. That was fun. That was a good questions.
So there's a couple bits left. How's the recording? Do you think you avoided turning into a book?
I hope so. Yes. Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
And now, can you explain your picture to me?
Okay, so I've gone for an anthropomorphized kind of ass. He's sort of jaunty and jolly, and he's sort of strutting along. I don't know if the fool always has the little, belongings in the little nap, the handkerchief on the stick, but I really like that in the example that you gave. It reminds me of when you say you're going to run away as a kid. You have big ideas of heading off on a journey, which is probably the epitome of a fool's errand. And he's heading off the cliff. I sort of imagine that he's going to be a little bit like Warner Brothers Roadrunner and get an extra second or two after he goes off the cliff. But yeah, he's in trouble.
Nice. It's called a bindle.
A bindle. Ah, I didn't know that.
Did you not?
No.
It's one of my favourite words.
Yeah.
It's very specific.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to Polaroid you with the creation for my records.
Sure. Yep. Is that the right format with the little zero?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's perfect. Yeah. Okay. So I need to give you a disclaimer that that's a fictional version of Irene Beautray.
Yes.
She knows I'm going to include her in a story, but she doesn't know how it's going to go.
Okay. Yeah. That's a nice cameo.
Mm-hmm. There will always be cameos. And do you have any final comments?
No, thanks for doing it. That was fun. It was a fun trip to the magical bookstore.
Cool.
It's like a good place to be.
I'm going to magic you back to where you started.
Okay, yep.
So you'll need to be holding your book, otherwise there'll be a continuity error.
Find my page, yep.
Yep.
Somewhere around there, yep.
Somewhere around there. That's the bookmarkers on the other page.
Yep.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll fix it in post. So I'm going to magic you back. Thank you.
It's terrible.
Oh, that's okay. You can do another one if you want.
Try another.
Yeah, just do a couple.
All right.